Charges have now been filed against the man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk, and Utah prosecutors, they aren't holding back. They are throwing the book at him. I'm going to walk you through the charges, plus the disturbing messages he exchanged with his roommate in the moments after pulling the trigger. These are messages that are so cold, they're hard to even hear. But that's not all. On Capitol Hill today, Kash Patel took the hot seat in a fiery hearing, and what unfolded may shock you. Democrats, under pressure, actually admitted something they have spent years denying. Yes, you heard me right. The truth, the drama, and even a little entertainment. It's all right here on The Kerri Lane Show. As always, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Now, before we get to the breaking news on Charlie Kirk's assassin and those chilling online messages that are now surfacing, I want to show you a little gem from Kash Patel's hearing today on Capitol Hill. Now, this was a previously scheduled hearing, so it wasn't called because of the assassination, but naturally, questions about that did come up. However, the moment that is lighting up social media wasn't about Charlie Kirk at all. It was a heated exchange between Kash Patel and Senator Mazie Hirono. Now, Hirono was upset that women are now required to do pull-ups to qualify for the FBI. Yeah, pull-ups. And watch closely, because for the first time in what feels like forever, you're about to hear a Democrat admit that men and women, wait for it, are physically different.
You are now requiring applicants to be able to do a certain kind of pull-ups, which a lot of women cannot because of physiological differences. Are you requiring these kinds of pull-ups?
We are requiring a physical program at BFTC at Quantico because FBI agents carrying guns in the field have to chase down bad guys and do really hard work. The physical fitness standards of those agents
are you requiring these kinds of pull-ups?
We are requiring everybody to pass the 1811 standards at BFTC. If you want to chase down a bad guy and put him in handcuffs, you better be able to do a pull-up.
The reason I ask is that there are concerns about whether or not being able to do these kinds of harsh pull-ups is really required of FBI agents.
Doing one pull-up is not harsh, and there are always medical exemptions to that.
When you build your whole political brand on denying basic reality, I mean, eventually you're going to trip and fall face first into your own hypocrisy. And that is what happened today for Democrats. I mean, think about it. She calls one pull-up harsh for women, but is totally fine with women being forced to compete against men in sports. Somebody please connect those dots for me down below. Senator, the FBI too, they're not looking to hire soft agents for a reason. If they can't do a pull-up, they're not going to be able to wrestle a suspect to the ground. These standards, they're not about hurting feelings. They're about keeping the agents alive. See, not everybody's cut out to be the FBI. Just like, and my husband will back me up on this one, not everyone is cut out to be a chef. We must recognize our limitations. Now watch Mr. Theater himself, Cory Booker, step in and try to tell Kash he is a failing leader.
I think you're not going to be around long. I think this might be your last oversight hearing. Because as much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America, Donald Trump has shown us in his first term and in this term, he is not loyal to people like you.
That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If you want to talk about
dividing this country,
it is my time.
I follow you on your social media posts that
it
tear this country apart.
To address your falsehoods.
Oh, you can try all you want
in this country.
To not take responsibility for what you have said.
Time.
Sir, you're making a mockery of this committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
The
people of New Jersey tell me what my time is. You can't lecture me.
You can tell me my time's over.
You may be in charge of the
I'm
FBI,
not going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman.
Not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
How can anyone take this senator seriously? He's always unhinged and is more focused on creating a viral moment than he is getting answers for the American people. I mean, this hostile look by the Democrats just days after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, it's not a good one, and I'm guessing it's not helpful in their argument about left-wing rhetoric and violence. Now, Senator Dick Blumenthal, he tries to tell Kash Patel that his firing of some FBI agents was an order from the president. Patel not only pushed back on that allegation, but shut the senator down entirely. Watch this.
Your testimony confirms that, in fact, you've taken direction from the White House.
I don't.
In those retaliatory firings.
It literally does
not. Because you've acknowledged that, in fact, they have been in contact with you about personnel decisions.
The
Let me
White House
move
has
on.
been, do not put words in my mouth. We're on the record. The White House, like any administration, contacts its agencies on the budgeting process and where it needs personnel and where the mission priorities are. That always happens. If they didn't do that, they would be abdicating their responsibility to law enforcement. I will always work with my partners in the chain of command at the Department of Justice and the White House to ensure that this FBI is delivering the results we are delivering, to include the lowest murder rate in modern U.S. history, to include the most fentanyl seizures in modern U.S. history, to include the most lives saved and the most children found in modern U.S. history. That is a working FBI. That is not a failing FBI.
Let's move on.
And of course, the senator wants to sheepishly move on because he can't offer a thoughtful response. All right, let's go ahead and move to some other headlines that are making news today. Tyler Robinson, the suspect accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk, has been officially charged. This comes just hours after FBI Director Kash Patel revealed chilling new details about his motive.
I will say what was found in terms of information, a text message exchange where the suspect specifically stated that he had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and he was going to do that. And when he was asked why, he said some hatred cannot be negotiated with.
I couldn't agree more. State prosecutors should not negotiate with this man. He should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which is what appears to be happening. Now, Robinson was formally charged today and is expected to enter a not guilty plea.
Today, after reviewing the evidence that law enforcement has collected thus far, I am filing a criminal information charging Tyler James Robinson, age 22, with the following crimes. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital offense, for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression and did so knowing that children were present and would witness the homicide. The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony, for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting. Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts. Count 6, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned him. And count 7, commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor, for committing homicide knowing that children were present and may have seen or heard the murder and did so based on Charlie Kirk's political expression. Also, following the press conference, I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime.
Now, because they're seeking the death penalty in this case, Robinson will be held without bail. It's also worth noting, for those that don't know, Utah is one of just 5 states that still permits execution by firing squad. With that said, the more likely method used is lethal injection if it comes to that. Now, something else we learned today is the conversation that took place between Robinson and his roommate. Here are those disturbing details.
On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right? Robinson, I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you. Roommate, you weren't the one who did it, right? Robinson, I am. I'm sorry. Roommate, I thought they caught the person. Robinson, no, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering. Roommate, why? Robinson, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Roommate, how long have you been planning this? Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Robinson again, I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle.
Now, we were also told that Robinson asked his roommate to delete those messages, which have obviously been recovered. The charges that came down today may only be the beginning, too, for Robinson. Patel has made it clear that once investigators finish combing through mountains of evidence, Robinson could also face federal charges.
We're going to be interviewing scores of people on not just these chats on Discord, but any communications that this individual have. We've seized multiple electronic devices from the home of the suspect and his romantic partner. We've got computers, we've got laptops, we've got gaming systems, we've got cell phones. All of that is being triaged by the FBI.
While Kash Patel was on Capitol Hill today, Senator Josh Hawley, he pressed him on the investigation involving the group chat on Discord. This is something that's being talked about by many. It's being reported that roughly 20 individuals were involved in those discussions. However, Patel says that number is much higher.
And we're also going to be investigating anyone and everyone involved in that Discord chat.
Okay, very good. I see the public reports that the Discord thread had as many as 20 additional users. It sounds like you're trying to run down all of that to see if that's accurate, who else may have been on that thread, what they may have known. Is that fair to say?
It's a lot more than that, and we're running them all down.
It's a lot more than 20?
Yes, sir.
And what investigators are finding online is also chilling. According to sources talking to the Washington Free Beacon, several individuals that are tied to this investigation identify as transgender. Now, one of them was connected to the suspect's roommate, the boyfriend. And just minutes after Kirk's death, that user bragged online, writing, quote, "We effing did it." That account has since been deleted. But as we know, nothing ever truly disappears from the internet. Another user 5 days before the shooting posted, quote, "You guys, I have something big coming soon. Just be sure to check the news. You'll know it when you see it." And then a winking emoji. That was 5 days before the assassination. After the shooting, that same account posted, quote, "Well, that's that." And then they wrote below in the comments, quote, "Another chud bites the dust," which chud is apparently a slang derogatory word for right-wingers. This user also tried to delete their account. And get this. On September 3rd, 7 days before Charlie was murdered, this user wrote, quote, "It'd be funny if someone like Charlie Kirk got shot on September 10th. LMAO. Another individual who appears to be transgender posted this, quote, "Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him literally." So how do all these random individuals know to write this? Most of whom appear to be trans. This is an awfully disturbing coincidence, if you ask me. And if I had to guess, I would say more arrests are coming. Now, speaking of arrests, remember George Zinn? He's the 71-year-old man who claimed he shot Charlie Kirk just moments after the assassination. Well, he later told investigators that he was trying to draw attention away from the real shooter. According to a police report, Zinn approached cops immediately after Kirk was killed and yelled, "I shot him, now shoot me." Zinn made similar strange comments after being transported to a local hospital due to some medical condition, saying he, quote, wanted to be a martyr for the person who was shot. Police said his initial comments delayed the investigation into Kirk's killing and needlessly took up law enforcement resources at a critical junction in their probe. This man is now charged with obstruction of justice, which is a second-degree felony. As for the conversation around Charlie Kirk's assassination and the left's reaction to the news, conservatives have been exposing these people who rushed to social media and are celebrating his death, writing vile, hateful things about Charlie, his widow, or even his children. Now, some of those people have been fired from their jobs, and now the left is in full outrage mode because their own are being held accountable. One person wrote, quote, "This will be my last tweet about Charlie Kirk. The way the right is handling this is disgraceful. They are actively trying to get thousands of people fired simply for their personal opinions. In doing so, they are destroying lives with no regard for the families affected. Think of the single mothers, the working parents, and the struggling families who will suffer because of this. No empathy at all." Don't lecture us about empathy. Where was your empathy when people cheered the assassination of a man simply for his ideas? Where was your compassion when others mocked a young widow's grief, or when they celebrated that 2 little children, just 1 and 3 years old, had their father ripped away forever? Your side is literally glorifying murder over free speech, and yet you have the audacity to argue that losing a job is too harsh a consequence for what you're calling free speech. Spare us the lectures, because if you can celebrate death, don't you dare pretend to be the moral authority on suffering. Now, Scott Jennings went on Caitlin Collins' show and absolutely destroyed her and CNN's narrative about these poor school teachers losing their jobs for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death.
When someone is murdered, particularly for those of us who are political actors and we're in the political system, when someone's murdered, and for whatever reason, I don't know exactly what the motivations were of the guy in Minnesota. It sounds like he had some mental problems. But whatever, it doesn't really matter. We should say, this is wrong. People should not be murdered. People who are in public service should not have to fear being murdered. And people like Charlie Kirk, who were doing nothing more than engaging in what we always say we should do, talk to each other and engage in civil discourse, they should not have to fear violent reprisals. That's what everyone should say. But in the case of these people who are being fired from their jobs, I mean, we're kind of tiptoeing around it here, but, I can read some of them out loud if you want. These people were not online saying, well, I disagree with Charlie Kirk. They were online saying the world is better off without him. They were online saying, his wife, in this case, she's a sick F word for marrying him. I don't care about her feelings. We're better off living in a world without a disgusting psychopath. That's who we're talking about here. And I'll tell you one more thing that's on my mind tonight, and conservatives everywhere. The idea that people are saying, well, he was an extremist, or he was a racist, or he was a Nazi, or a misogynist, whatever. Therefore, we could get around to rationalizing it. Charlie Kirk was a mainstream conservative Republican. He had views that are held by tens of millions of people, including more than half the country in the last election. So if you're online saying this is justified, what you're actually saying is half the country I live in, there's some justification to commit violence or murder against them. And that's what is concerning about the people who are doing this. And that's why I don't think anybody is losing any sleep about these folks not being able to teach our children.
I'm certainly not. And let's be real. If a coworker died and you walked into the office the next day celebrating their death, you'd be in the boss's office before lunch and probably out of a job by dinner. This is no different. These people aren't martyrs. They're not victims. They're grown adults who chose cruelty and are now facing the consequences. And let's not forget, these are the same people who gleefully cheered when firefighters, nurses, teachers, doctors all lost their jobs for refusing a vaccine. They had no issue destroying livelihoods then. But now, when the shoe is on the other foot, suddenly accountability is too harsh? The hypocrisy is staggering. Take a look at this. A report shows a growing tolerance or even support for political violence, especially on the left. According to a research lab at Rutgers University, in a poll of 2,600 young American online users who self-identify as liberal or progressive, say political violence, including assassinations, are acceptable. 50 to 56% of those progressives users say killing Elon Musk or President Trump is somewhat justified. Then 59% of those polled who call themselves left or center say it's at least somewhat acceptable to destroy a Tesla dealership to protest. Now, in a separate U.gov survey of 1,000 adults conducted after the killing of Charlie Kirk, saw a similar finding. 72% of Americans said violence is never justified. 11% said it can sometimes be justified. But look at this. Self-identified liberals felt differently. 21% said political violence is justified to achieve their political goals, compared to just 4% of conservatives. That is a concerning number that desperately needs to be addressed if we're going to put an end to political violence. Now, we cannot normalize this. Excusing violence for political beliefs puts democracy itself in danger. Charlie Kirk's death should have been a wake-up call. Instead, too many hit snooze. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about whether we solve our differences with debate or descend into a nation where assassination becomes a political tactic. It's time we make this decision, and hopefully we make the right one. Coming up next, Don Lemon gets humiliated when he hits the streets in an attempt to smear Charlie Kirk. Wait until you see how the everyday American is responding. I promise it'll bring you a little ray of hope. Go ahead, click on that video now. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day.